Let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the Institute of Strategic and International Studies, ISIS, for inviting me to address the 39th Asia-Pacific Roundtable APR. It is truly a privilege to join such a distinguished group this evening. For nearly 4 decades, the APR has served as an important platform for dialogue on the strategic, political, and economic issues that shaping Asia and beyond. This year's theme, Accelerating Agency and Action, is particularly relevant as we navigate an international landscape that is becoming increasingly complex, fragmented, and uncertain. Ladies and gentlemen, for many years, economic integration was generally viewed as a stabilizing force in international relations. Expanding trade and investment were expected to deepen interdependence between nations, ultimately reinforcing prosperity, stability, and cooperation. Today, that assumption is being fundamentally tested as economic decisions are being increasingly affected by geopolitical consideration. Market access, technology, supply chains, energy, and critical minerals have become a strategic asset in bilateral and multilateral negotiation among all of us in the country, in the world. Recent years have exposed vulnerability embedded within the global economy. Strategic competition among major powers has highlighted the risk of excessive concentration and overdependence. Conflicts in different parts of the world have demonstrated how disruption in one region can rapidly affect food and energy security, as well as the greater supply chain network across continent. Distinguished guests, for a highly open economy like Malaysia, with a trade to GDP ratio roughly 151%, this shift presents profound challenges. As countries pursue their individual economic security objective, the openness, predictability, and stability upon which international commerce has long depended are gradually being eroded. We have witnessed the growing use of unilateral tariff, export restriction, industrial subsidies, and increasingly protectionist measures disguised as environmental or regulatory standard. While many of these measures raise legitimate questions about fairness and consistency, the concern driving them are themselves genuine. Governments everywhere are grappling with issues of technological dependence, strategic resilience, and national preparedness. This is precisely why a business-as-usual approach is no longer sufficient. Countries must possess the strategic agility to adapt to changing circumstances, diversify their partnership, and make decisions that best safeguard their long-term national interests. Malaysia does not believe the answer lies in defending an outdated model of globalization. Nor do we accept economic fragmentation as inevitable future. Rather, our objective is to preserve openness wherever possible strengthen resilience where necessary, and retain the strategic flexibility required to navigate an increasingly complex world. Ladies and gentlemen, this development inevitably raise important questions about the future of our multilateral trading system. The World Trade Organization WTO emerged during a period where the prevailing belief was that lowering trade barriers and expanding market access would generate not only economic prosperity, but also greater international stability. Policymakers today operate in a very different environment. Economy policy is increasingly influenced by consideration of resilient technological leadership, strategic autonomy, and supply chain security. In many respects, the debate has shifted from opening market to how strategic capabilities should be protected. Unless it evolves, there is a genuine risk that the WTO gradually loses relevance. Yet, at a time of intensifying strategic competition, the need for credible multilateral rules has arguably never been greater. We need institutions capable of reducing uncertainty, managing disputes, and preventing economic tension from escalating into a broader geopolitical conflicts. The WTO must be able to adapt to the realities of today's international economy. It must continue to serve the needs of every member's country and be able to address discriminatory trade practices wherever they arise. While Malaysia reaffirms our support for the multilateral trading system, we maintain that the system itself must evolve to remain fit for purpose in rapidly changing world that we are facing today. Distinguished guests, traditionally, economy diplomacy has been associated with a trade negotiation, market access, and investment promotion. Frameworks such as ASEAN, APEC, and a comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, among others, continue to provide valuable avenues to advance regional economy integration. Within the context of the challenges that we face today, economic diplomacy can no longer be pursued in isolation, but must be viewed through a broader lens. Similarly, foreign policy can no longer be viewed solely as a mechanism for managing political relationships. It must also serve as a platform for securing economic opportunities, strengthening resilience, supporting technological upgrading, facilitating investment, and expanding national strategic options. The growing prominence of platforms such as BRIC reflect this broader evolution of BRIC. BRIC was never conceived as a free trade agreement. Nevertheless, its growing appeal illustrates that countries are actively seeking complementary avenues to pursue economic cooperation, strengthening resilience, diversify partnership, and coordinate responses to share challenges. The Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, recent official visit to Central Asia reflect this new approach. Discussion extended well beyond conventional trade and investment, encompassing energy cooperation, logistics, digital connectivity, and technology collaboration. They underscores the reality that economic advancement increasingly depend upon partnership that transcend traditional trade agreement. This does not represent a departure from regional economy integration. Rather, it is an acknowledgement that economy diplomacy has become more diverse, more flexible, and considerably more multidimensional than in previous decades. Ladies and gentlemen, for middle powers such as Malaysia, agency has become one of our most valuable strategic assets. Agency is not about choosing sides. It is about preserving the capacity to make sovereign choices. It is the ability to diversify partnership, strengthen resilience, cultivate new capabilities, and maintain the strategic space to pursue our national interests. One of the defining challenges of our time lies at the intersection of economy and geopolitics. Consequently, our challenge is to ensure that this intersection produces resilience without fragmentation, security without exclusion, and prosperity without division. Malaysia will continue to support efforts to strengthen international institutions where they remain relevant and effective. At the same time, we must recognize that institutions like economies must evolve. We must therefore remain open to new ideas, new platform, and new form of cooperation that complement existing institutions and help address emerging challenges. Malaysia will continue to pursue pragmatic and inclusive economic diplomacy. On that, we expand opportunities, strengthen resilience, and preserve the strategic flexibility required to navigate an increasingly uncertain world. On that note, I wish all participants a productive and insightful roundtable that you're going to have next 2 to 3 days. Thank you very much.